Hello everybody. We are Team 5 and we are here to present about mental health issues and concerns of children under the age of 13 in Canada. Our team members are Sonia Chaco, Mary Ann Gabinet, Teresa Kurian, Michelle Pascual, Masicilia Corazon Salvador, and Sarabjot Kaur. So what is mental health? Mental health is the capacity of each and all of us to feel and think the way and act in ways that enhance our ability to enjoy life and deal with the challenges we face. It's a positive sense of emotional and spiritual well-being that respects the importance of culture, equity, social justice, interconnections, and personal dignity. This is how Public Health Agency of Canada defines mental health. So what is mental health in children? Where are we going today? Where are we going and how does our future be impacted by the well-being of the children? Mental health in children under the age of 13 is expressed in various ways. Anxiety, attention deficit disorder, eating disorders, intentional self-harm other than suicide, mood disorders, psychosis, schizophrenia, substance abuse, and suicide. Certain emotions in children are very normal, such as being moody, irritable, impulsiveness, low self-esteem, and they may occasionally indulge in experimenting with drugs and alcohol. All that is fine, and these are natural manifestations during adolescence. But it becomes a challenge when it starts interfering with a young person's daily life. It may be an indication of mental health problem. And what are we going to do about it?
Facts about the mental health of children under 13 years of age in Canada. Most of the recent studies and research shows that mental health issues among the children in Canada is increasing in an alarming rate. According to Mental Health Commission of Canada, 1.2 million children and youth have some sorts of mental health issues. 1 in 5 Canadian children and youth experience some form of mental health problem. 70% of mental health issue has its onset during adolescence and childhood. 17% of children aged 2 to 5 years meet the diagnostic criteria for mental health issues. Canada's youth suicide rate is third highest among the industrialized world. 34% of Ontario high school students have experienced moderate to severe form of psychological distress. Among this, 14% of students have experienced severe form of psychological distress. Children and youth visiting hospitals and emergency department for mental health issues has increased by 60% in the last decade. Most of the parents do not have enough knowledge about where to get help for their children's mental health issues. 50% of parents who seek medical attention have experienced some challenges, and these challenges include long wait time, inappropriate service, and inadequate knowledge about where to get the help from. All this rate shows that the mental health of our children is affected, and we need to take effective measures to preserve the mental health status of our upcoming generation. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I am Sonia Chaco. I am going to deal with the economic burden of mental illness. Between 15% and 25% of Canadians experience at least one mental health problem or illness before they turn 19, and these individuals have a higher likelihood than others of facing a second one later than in their lifetime. Unfortunately, only 1 in 6 people under 19 is adequately diagnosed, and only 1 in 5 under 12 receives the treatment he or she needs. Mental health, wellness and illness affect health and well-being throughout a person's life. According to 2011 report of Canada's Chief Public Officer, positive mental health is associated with a higher likelihood of completing the school, positive social relations, higher level of self-confidence, higher income potential, and increased resilience. Mental illness is associated with increased risk of physical health problems including chronic respiratory conditions and heart disease. Rates of poverty and unemployment as well as rates of incarceration are also higher among people with mental illness. The cost of mental health. The mental health is central to children's social and emotional development. Yet at any given time, an estimated 14% of children, or over 100,000 in British Columbia and over 800,000 in Canada, experience clinically significant mental disorders. These disorders range from those that are highly prevalent and cause varying degrees of impairment such as anxiety, behavior disorders and depression, to those that are less prevalent and highly disabling such as autism and schizophrenia. Between 50% and 74% of mental disorders start in childhood and then persist, affecting productivity and functioning over the lifespan. Given their prevalence and long-term impact, mental disorders are arguably the leading health problems Canadian children face from infancy onwards. Children's mental disorders are also costly from an economic perspective. Treatment costs extend to multiple sectors, including not only community-based outpatient treatment services, but also child protection, special education, and youth criminal justice sectors. Even so, an estimated 75% of children with mental disorders do not receive specialized treatment services currently, and few prevention programs are offered. Programs aimed at addressing social determinants of health, such as socioeconomic inequalities, have the potential to produce cost effective improvements in children's mental health. However, despite recent Canadian investment in early child development programs aimed at reducing learning disparities, few researchers have studied the impact of these programs on children's mental health outcomes. Collectively, we pay a long-term price when mental disorders are not effectively prevented or treated in childhood, including the loss potential associated with early school termination and unemployment. For example, the lifetime cost of one case of conduct disorder is estimated to be 1.5 million US dollars if no effective prevention or treatment services are offered. The direct costs, including visit to healthcare providers, and indirect costs such as lost work time of mental disorders are now estimated to exceed 14 billion Canadian dollars annually. Making the most of our limited resources. Almost every resource used for children's mental health is scarce relative to both need and demand. Billions of dollars would likely to be required to fully address all the unmet program and service needs. Economic evaluations of children's mental health interventions are one tool that can help guide decision making in this challenging environment. Once an intervention has been shown to be clinically effective, an economic evaluation assesses its fiscal value by systematically and simultaneously measuring its cost and benefits. Both cost and benefits can be appraised from a number of viewpoints, including those of the child, the family, the service provider, and the society at large. When calculating expenditures, researchers should assess both direct costs such as salaries, supplies, and transportation, and indirect costs such as parents' time. Investing in children's yield excellent returns. All children have the right to thrive and to meet their potential. When governments invest in effective health promotion, disorder prevention, and treatment services, the personal and financial cost of childhood mental disorders can be substantially reduced. Economic evaluations are a vital tool in reducing these costs because they help determine which specific intervention constitute the wisest use of limited public funds. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Michelle, and I'd like to talk to you about how does mental health illness impact the youth and what are the further consequences as these children get older. Mental health is a leading cause of disability in Canada, and people with mental health issues are more likely to die prematurely than the general population with a cutoff at about 10 to 20 years of their life expectancy. According to the Mental Health Commission in Canada, estimated 1.2 million children and youth are affected with mental illness, and only less than 20% will receive treatment. So, as the child with mental health disorder develops into an adult, they will have the following consequences if there is no early interventions, if there is no treatments or if there is poor knowledge of resources. First, there is increased risk in disruption of education and school absence. The social stigma of having mental illness is present in school. Bullying causes more children under 13 not to participate and go to school. Poor educational attainment. Status quo says that children with mental issues cannot concentrate well in school and will not further develop his skills due to the effects of mental illness. There will be life chances that are complex due to the difficulty to maintain healthy relationships. There will also be increased risk for drug and alcohol abuse. A number of children with mental issue do not seek for help or do not have enough resources for treatment. If so, if they are untreated and misguided, the effects can turn towards drug addiction, alcohol, or even sex addiction. Moreover, conduct disorder may also increase teenage pregnancy. There will also be poor health or poor general health in children with mental disorders if treatment is not done for them. They tend to be more sickly and due to the lack of sleep or the lack of appetite for food. There will also be premature mortality in life, which is a devastating effect if children does not go for treatment. Therefore, they will have very low life expectancy rate. Anorexia nervosa and bulimia are eating disorders that have a strong link to mental disorder and therefore contributes to a high number of children with low self-esteem, anxiety, and depression. There will also be severe suicide and depression. And these are the few factors that increase suicide in youth. For example, mental health issues such as those with drug abuse or substance abuse, anxiety, those that have conduct problems, or those who are very impulsive and have impulsive or aggressive behavior. Those who also have other abuses such as physical abuse or sexual abuse, right? The last thing, there will also be adversity in childhood increased with a high increased risk for major morbidities of midlife. For example, children who have a mental issue without early interventions may cause other major morbidities such as hypertension. They will also have dyslipidemia, obesity, liver and renal diseases, and so forth.
In this part of our presentation, we're going to discuss about available supports to manage the existing problems, preventions, and the role of community health nurses regarding this topic. Mental health problems among children and young people continue to give us cause for concerns. These problems are not only affecting children's lives, but also affecting their parents, families, and their primary caregivers. And not only that, it can also cause a great impact to the whole community. According to the Canadian Mental Health Association, 70% of mental health challenges have their onset in childhood or youth. That is why early identification and intervention is so critical and can lead to improved achievement in school and a better health outcomes in life. The Government of Canada provides mental health support through agencies like Mental Health Commission of Canada, or MHCC, that develops and disseminates innovative programs and tools to support the mental health and wellness of Canadians. The Canadian Mental Health Association that provides services and supports designed to meet local needs. These programs are delivered primarily by community agencies and sometimes through hospitals or health clinics. In addition to that, Kids Help Phone is Canada's only national helpline for young people between the ages of 5 and 20 that offers 24-hour confidential and anonymous support, professional counselors and counseling options, online resources that provides tips and advice on the challenges that young people face. Although according to the Canadian Institute of Health Information, currently there is a shortage of programs designed to prevent mental health problems in children. But then again, early identification and intervention is the key. It is known that on early age, like infants, do not display the typical symptoms of mental health disorders, but they do exhibit through disturbed sleeping patterns, feeding difficulties, and gastric discomfort when they experience both anxiety and tension. Therefore, it is important that parents and carers are able not only to understand their child's cues, but to respond to their needs in a loving and empathetic manner. A parent is often the first person to notice the sign of mental illness. Children may withdraw, they may stop eating well, doesn't have appropriate level of energy, seems unusually anxious, and even saying disturbing things. Any of these signs, especially when it's acute or sudden, should prompt the parents to pay a visit to the doctor in order to assess the signs by doing physical exam or to look for more signs and symptoms of mental illness and to determine if it is psychological or physiological or both. Community health nurses have the nursing responsibility of directing efforts at preventions of mental illness. Those who are working in community settings, child health or school clinics, antenatal and prenatal care, home health are well positioned to conduct early mental health assessments, which are essential part of routine community health nursing practice and can support early identification of needs, assistance, and service. Assessments include identifying the types of programs available or lacking in places where children spend time. Assessments should be performed at clients' home, schools, as well as at daycare centers, churches, and organizations that plan and guide age-specific play and entertainment programs. Assessment data are essential for planning and developing programs that address mental health concerns prevalent from the prenatal period through adolescence. Addressing these concerns during these developmental periods can reduce mental health problems in adulthood. So, in conclusion, early intervention, better promotion of positive mental health and positive parenting programs undoubtedly have their place in supporting better outcomes for our children and young people as they take their place in society.
How can we prevent mental illness? It is good parenting. Infants and young children need to feel secure with their attachment to their family, which enables them to develop trust in others. Failure to do so leads to lifelong problems in learning, behavior, resilience, coping, as well as both physical and mental health. Adverse childhood experiences such as abuse, neglect, and parental substance use or mental illness compound the problems and call for early intervention. School environment, the school ethos, mental well-being of teachers, relationship with peers, prevalence of bullying all matter. Strong relationship with caring friends and adults are important, while loneliness is a problem. Two key approaches we use: first, creating supportive environments that protect people from known risk factors and provide a positive mental health situation. Second, providing resources and programs that enable people, especially children, to become resilient with skills they need to manage life's ups and downs. In practice, there are two approaches interact and need to complement each other. One of the key strategies to reduce the level of poverty in our society, living in poverty is stressful and not surprisingly associated with higher levels of anxiety and depression, among other things. A 2016 report from the UK's Faculty of Public Health noted that poverty in the early years leads to poor cognitive performance. A high risk or vulnerable parents, such as young, poor, and single mothers or parents with mental health or addiction problems, should be identified and provided with supportive services to improve their health in pregnancy and to help them develop better parenting and coping skills. A study from the University of Ireland found that high-quality early childhood enrichment provided through preschool results in enduring gains in children's social and emotional well-being, cognitive skills, problem behavior, and school readiness. If the government is genuinely interested in ensuring the long-term mental well-being of our society, it has to invest in poverty reduction, support for parents, especially the most vulnerable, and early child development. 7 factors that have a particularly strong impact on mental well-being. There are 3 social factors: social networks and trust, participation, and willingness to act for the common good, and norms and culture. Three aspects of the physical environment: look, feel, and safety, housing, and arts and cultural expression. And one in the area of equitable opportunity, living wages, and local wealth. This strong and positive social connection must be built in families, networks of friends, and in school, workplaces, and places of worship, even though the connection with pets and therapy animals. A related strategy is to build community capacity to participate and act together to improve things. There is a positive and reciprocal relationship between the community and individual empowerment. There is also strong evidence that empowerment has significant health impacts. The third social factor is to change the community's culture and social norms. Change the social norms around bullying in school and on the internet, as well as gender and racial discrimination. The report notes that positive social norms that foster inclusion and respect for all persons can enhance individual self-esteem and well-being. The physical environment also has an impact on mental well-being. Access to attractive, safe, walkable neighborhoods and parks facilitate physical activity, which in turn improves mental health. Music, dance, and all forms of artwork foster mental well-being. Mental illness is a leading cause of disability in Canada. Preventing mental disorder among children through caregiver education and improving overall environment should be a priority. We are living with a quote from Jane Austen, and sometimes I have kept my feelings to myself because I could not find no language to describe them in. And here are our resources. Thank you, and if you have questions, feel free to comment below.